I'm Louise with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Beijing has condemned Taiwan for warning its citizens not to travel to China, saying most have nothing to worry about. The Chinese government agency that deals with affairs with Taiwan said that most Taiwan compatriots don't have to have any worries about participating in cross-strait exchanges and traveling to the mainland. They can come in high spirits and return satisfied. Taiwan's government this week raised its travel warning for China, advising people not to go unless absolutely necessary. That was after China announced legal guidelines to prosecute Taiwan separatists, with the maximum punishment being the death penalty. Taiwan's main opposition, the Kuomintang, is once again causing a stir in the legislature. They're proposing changing the rules for recalling elected officials, just as one of their mayors is on the brink of his own recall vote. Tiffany Wong reports.
A group of residents in Taiwan's northern city of Keelung are out on the streets, collecting signatures in their bid to recall Mayor George Xie. They're close to the 30,000 needed to hold a vote. It's an all too familiar scene for Xie's party. In 2020, Kuomintang heavyweight Han Kuo-yu, who is now the legislative speaker, was recalled from his position as mayor of the southern city of Kaohsiung after just over a year in office. Now the KMT is proposing changes to the law that will help prevent future recalls.
这个制度本身就是有缺陷的，选罢法用这么低的门槛，可以让这个罢免一个民意代表，甚至一个民选首长成案，甚至成功。
Existing laws prevent elected officials from being recalled during their first year in office. But the KMT now wants to restrict even proposals to recall officials in that time frame. They also want to require that the number of votes in favor of recalling the official must be more than they had originally received when elected. The Taiwan People's Party, which recently teamed up with the KMT to help pass controversial legislative reforms, has said that they will not be supporting the KMT this time.
罢免的门槛不要动，但是这个发动罢免的这个程序应当要严谨，更重要要一致。
And the ruling Democratic Progressive Party is also against the changes, saying that it only helps the KMT.
罢免门槛越修越高，越修越高，希望用这样方式来保护自己的话，这个只会引起民意更大的反扑。
The KMT has said that the proposed changes would not affect the Keelung mayor's ongoing recall vote. But if it passes, it will be yet another major change to the checks and balances in Taiwan's political system, this time between citizens and elected officials. Patrick Chen and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
Videos of passengers fighting on Taiwan's metro are making the public rethink how priority seating should be framed. Chris Gorin reports.
An older passenger on the Taipei Metro starts an argument after a younger passenger refused to give up their priority seat, saying they were ill. It's one of several videos making the rounds on Taiwanese social media of shouting matches over who should be able to sit in the seats. And it has started a debate over whether the policy should change. Some measures, such as PA messages, have already been implemented. The Health Ministry also announced that it will amend the law on priority seats. Their use will be expanded from the disabled, elderly, and pregnant to include other persons in need. Perhaps more importantly, the name of the seats will also be changed. You can see here that in English, they're already using the globally accepted priority seats. But the Chinese term has a slightly different meaning, which is something closer to charity seat. The government's new proposal would change the Chinese term to a direct translation of priority seat. But the question is, will it make a difference?
这样比较广义一点，看看以后那个纷争会不会再少一点。改的话，如果能让某些人的心里感觉比较舒服，或是比较踏实的话，那我觉得可能对那些人来说比较好。
There's currently no way to legally enforce who sits in priority seats. So whatever it says on the signs or on the books, it's people's kindness to each other that will be the real priority. Chris Ma and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
9 people have been evacuated in New Taipei after heavy rains battered northern Taiwan. Firefighters worked to rescue people whose houses were threatened by flooding and a mudslide. In some areas, nearly 100 millimeters of rain fell, in just 1 hour. Ground crew from EVA Air are accusing their union leaders of mismanagement. They claim union leaders ignored several requests to meet after the membership increased from about 30 members to 600. The crew argue their leaders, elected when the union was much smaller, are not running it properly. They're asking the local government to affirm union members' right to hold discussions. Labour authorities agree it's hard to meet legal attendance requirements when union members work at different airports.
因为他们的行业特殊，然后再加上工会如果不努力，运作出席那个会员人数的话，的确有可能会造成未来持续流会的情况。
The Economy Ministry has greenlit chip giant TSMC's plans to invest an additional $10 billion overseas. According to the ministry, the chip maker will split the sum roughly in half between its majority-owned fab in Japan and its Arizona site in the United States. TSMC has already invested over $85 billion in these projects. Though this would be more money leaving Taiwan, the ministry says the investment will help boost the global competitiveness of the country's chip industry. Deep in the Himalayas, on the India-China border, fragile peace has been hard won, but at a cost to the herders who make their livelihoods from the land. Sally Jensen went to India to find out more.
Looking after Kashmir goats in the Indian-controlled part of the Himalayan mountains has been the main source of income for 57-year-old Morop Namgyal. But now he's worried about keeping his goats fed. A semi-nomadic Changpa herder, Namgyal is no longer allowed to graze his goats where he used to, a narrow strip on the disputed border between India and China that is now a demilitarized zone. In 2020, hand-to-hand conflict broke out here between the two countries' armies, killing at least 20 Indian and 4 Chinese troops. Since then, a fragile peace has been forged by creating a buffer zone of some 450 square kilometers between the two armies. But it's affecting herders whose goats have grazed in the closed-off area for thousands of years. To help those on their side of the border, India has set up insulated winter huts for the Changpa to live in, a move that could also solidify India's presence on the border. But for the herders, the huts don't make up for the loss of their pasture land.
जो हमारे नोमैड्स का इसका एक्सेस जो है कम हो गया है, लेकिन आर्मी का इसका पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू पॉइंट अलग हो सकता है, लेकिन नोमैड्स का एक्सेस जो है करीब इतने किलोमीटर्स का कम हो गया है.
Around a tenth of the herder families here have stopped rearing goats completely, and in the nearby village, production of cashmere wool has slumped.
इस हमारा एक तरफ से ये हमारा असम जो घर खेती है, तो इसको खत्म करके हम कैसे जिएगा आगे, है ना जी, ये लोगों के माइंड में ये सोच है.
India and China say keeping the strip of land off limits is for the benefit of regional peace. But for the Changpa herders of the Himalayas, it's come at a huge cost and could threaten their very existence. John Su and Sally Jensen for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's top athletes are preparing for the Paris Games. Our reporter Sandy Chi went to meet Taiwan's top fencer to see how he's training for Olympic success.
Ready? Ollie.
Every second, every move can make a huge difference in a fencing match. That's what keeps 20-year-old fencer Chen Yitong focused and determined. He's one of the athletes representing Taiwan at this year's Paris Olympics.
As soon as I put on my mask and I start moving, I just felt like this sense of calmness, and I'm like, oh, I know what I'm doing. So I think fencing does make me calm when I'm on the piste. When I'm fencing, I just unconsciously start getting super focused on my target.
Fencing is one of the oldest combat sports. It's also known as physical chess, as each move requires close observation of the opponent's skills and personality. It may seem simple, just moving back and forth on the narrow piste or match area, but it's more than it appears. Each move the fencer makes is a calculated risk.
简单的里面当中又存在的困难的部分，它是要进攻还是防守？每一个铺陈的过程当中，其实它的变化性会非常的错综复杂，所以他们其实要非常的专注去判断当下到底是不是他预想的这样子，然后立即在非常短的时间内去做任何的改变。
As a kid, Chen explored various sports, but only fencing held his attention.
One thing that I really love about sport is like the exchange you have with your opponent, like back and forth and like exchanging blades. I think it's really exciting for me.
Chen is one of the athletes who will represent Taiwan at the Paris Olympics this summer. But unlike many other Olympians who are full-time athletes, Chen is also a graphic design student who balances his fencing career and his academic commitments. Despite it being hard to manage his time, the thought of giving up has never crossed his mind. And Chen even managed to turn the challenge into an advantage, allowing both his athletic and academic pursuits to complement each other.
I think what art helped me with fencing is one way is like it helped me relieve stress when I'm not on the piste, when I'm like taking a break. It helps me like cool myself off. Another thing art taught me is like to be more patient. And in fencing, you can't really force your way because you're gonna end up just losing more points and you'll get like fall more behind.
Chen also had to face the challenge of training alone, especially during the pandemic. He explains that fencing is not like swimming or running, where the athletes compete against themselves. It requires an opponent for effective training.
When you're trained by yourself without guidance, it's like you don't know if this direction is right or wrong. You know, no one's there to tell you like, oh, you're doing good, you're doing bad. You're just like blindly putting effort in and hoping that you're improving. And yeah, plus it's like there's no opponent, right? Since there's no one there, you can't really measure yourself.
Fortunately, Chen found a way to train himself by observing and analyzing videos of other fencers.
It makes it easier for me to like, if I want to copy someone's attack, I can like, I just watch it a few times and try to adapt to it.
With the help of his art, relentless practice, and passion, Chen has proven he has what it takes to be an independent athlete representing his country. With just a month to go before the Paris Summer Games, Chen is determined to stay focused. And when the moment comes to draw its blade, he'll do so with all his energy and passion. Howard Zhang and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
A full team of 6 archers will be representing Taiwan in Paris this summer. It's the 6th time in a row that Taiwan has sent a full team to the Olympics, and the athletes are aiming to score high. Tang Zhejun, who's making his 2nd Olympic appearance, will lead the men's team of first-time Olympic archers. Lei Tianying, a 4th-time Olympic veteran, will head up the women's team. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, take a look at this exhibit in Denmark, exploring the history of a female Viking sorceress. I'm Louise Watt. Take care. See you next time.
Competition with China, not conflict.
The entire world has great interest in keeping Taiwan's chip industry functional.
So the silicon shield that supposedly has been protecting Taiwan.
How many years the TSMC can still maintain its competitive edge?
What do you see as the next big shift in the semiconductor industry?
Taiwan's take on global headlines. All that matters, TaiwanPlus.